Welcome to the new edition of East Coast Connection Live. And we got a real special edition this time because not only do we have one very special guest, can I get the book? But we have two very special guests, and you can see them right there below. And the first guest is Monte A. Melnick. Now, Monte A. Melnick wrote this book, and you could kind of guess what it's going to be about. It's called On the Road with the Ramones. Now, and this is the reason why Monte wrote this book is because he was the tour manager for the Ramones for over 2,000 shows. Now, if you're in a van like this for 2,000 shows with a bunch of people, you know everything about them. But we're not going to go into the story. We're going to go into only one aspect of the Ramones, which is going to be the T-shirts. Now, you can see it's surrounded, everybody's surrounded by T-shirts and Ramones T-shirts. And you're going to ask yourself, what in the world are you watching? Why are you talking about T-shirts? This is stuff you bought at a show and then threw out the Salvation Army. Well, guess what? T-shirts have grown into something a lot bigger than just something you buy at a show and just throw away after a year or two after you stop listening to the band. But the reason also why we have a guest, John, is because with this book, John drew this cover for On the Road with the Ramones. And
you gotta hold up to a mirror to see it properly, though.
Yeah, well, we'll kind of like go like this, and then and there it goes. And John also did that cover over there to Road to Ruin. And John did a lot of work for the Ramones, and we're going to go into that. Now, this book, On the Road with the Ramones by Monte A. Melnick, is in a special edition now.
Bonus edition.
Bonus edition. And this bonus edition has some great extra stuff in the back here. And that pertains to what we're doing on this show. If you look over here, back here, you're going to see.
Oh my goodness!
We're going to see a time capsule over here. This is Monte A. Melnick. This is our guest right down there. That's Monte. Wave to everybody, Monte. That's Monte there, and this is Arturo. And there's the band over there too. But Arturo, unfortunately, is not with us anymore. He passed a few years ago, along with obviously all the rest of the original members of the band. But Arturo had a very important part in the T-shirts, and we'll dedicate this live to Arturo because he was the designer and with the band from basically from the beginning to the end, and he was very, very important to the design element of the Ramones and why we still love the stuff that we we love the Ramones for the music, but we also, because they're not with us, we can also wear this still and we collect it, and we're going to go into that.
It's you know, if Arturo was still alive, myself and Arturo would be the only ones around that were there from the beginning to the end. Now it's just me, because I was there from the beginning to the end.
And that was over 2,000 shows, correct?
2,200, somewhere around there.
Okay. Now, when you first started to obviously the band was started already when you got involved with them, but were there, that was about what, 1974 or 75, would you say?
Yeah, 74 in Performance Studios.
In Performance Studios. Now,
brought them into Performance Studios as a three-piece group actually first.
It was a three-piece.
Yeah, they started off three-piece. Joey's on drums initially.
Oh, okay. And then obviously Tommy came in and was the drummer.
Well, Tommy just wanted to produce them and manage them. He didn't want to be in the group initially. But he heard that Dee Dee was having trouble singing and playing bass.
Mm-hmm.
And he heard Joey had a good voice, so he pulled Joey off the drums.
Okay.
And they started looking for drummers. And nobody, in the early years, they were very raw, so nobody could understand what they were doing.
Okay.
But Tommy, being a great musician, sat down on the drums and tried to show drummers what to do. He was a guitar player, actually. Yeah, there he is, Tommy. And eventually, they said, join the group. He just wanted to produce them and manage them. And
right.
You know,
so they obviously, they enlisted Tommy, you know, to be the drummer, and he also was a producer and helped things along.
yes.
Now the Ramones, they got signed for their first album by Sire Records, and at that time, the first album. Do you have the first album there, John? Could you hold it up? Was there T-shirts? Now, there obviously the Ramones were doing shows. Were there T-shirts being sold at that time? That album came out in July of 1976, or sometime early 76.
By the way, you gotta give Roberta Bailey credit for that shot.
Oh, Roberta Bailey was the photographer for that shot, and that was also, John, if I was correct, that was done for a Punk Magazine photo shoot, correct?
Yes.
And then it made it to the cover of the band. Okay. And were at that time, were T-shirts being sold?
Well, initially, I mean, they were playing CBGBs right a block away from Arturo's loft.
Right.
So he would do he wouldn't no T-shirts involved. T-shirts came into when we started going on the road. They couldn't afford to pay Arturo.
Right.
So Arturo came up with the idea of I'll print some T-shirts. It'll pay for my way on tour, and then that's how he started doing T-shirts, basically, out of town.
Out of town. Now, do you remember? Now, obviously, where's the first T-shirt picture? Oh, over here. I'll get it over here. Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah, right.
The first one was just the name. There's no image. There's no eagles on that.
No image or eagles, and that was just about the first album, correct?
Yeah, that.
Now, is that the shirt that he sold on the road?
Yeah, that's initially he started with this shirt.
Right.
First.
Right.
But Arturo's always liked the Eagles.
Really?
You know, growing up in Mexico, it's the Eagles on the flag, and also El Nacional had an eagle in the picture, and this belt buckle. This is the first album they used the belt buckle, so he loved the Eagles shirt basically.
Right.
So
hey,
the second
Josh, can you get that Eagles shirt?
Yeah. So this is the first shirt with an eagle on it, based on that belt buckle.
That small size one.
Based on the belt buckle that Arturo loves so much.
Let me go get.
Eagles were always like a great thing in Arturo's mind. He just loved Eagles.
So the eagle came from his childhood of growing up in Mexico, and there's a lot of eagles used in the government and the imagery for
the eagle on the flag.
So
and the paper he was in an article. El Nacional had an eagle in the banner. So that's where he got the idea about putting eagles.
Okay.
Initially, just the Ramones, and the first backdrop was just the Ramones letters on a white backdrop.
Right, and those are being sold at the shows. Now, Arturo was the person who made the shirts also, is that correct?
Well, as I said, to get on the road, basically, we couldn't afford to pay him initially in the early years. So to get on the road, Arturo said, oh, print up a bunch of T-shirts with the profits. It'll help me get on the road, pay for my expenses. That's how he started going into printing up T-shirts and doing the merchandising. So
the T-shirts were sort of a way of Arturo to get to hang out with the band on the road.
Well, he's working too. He was doing lights.
Oh, he was doing lights at the time. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So what would happen during a show, basically, he'd do the lights. The last song he'd put on like white lights, run off to the back of the club and start selling shirts. He'd be running back right away selling shirts. So
now, Arturo called himself the art director of the Ramones at that time, right? Because he also designed a poster for the band very early on, and he would do like poster design.
Well, he'd help out with a lot of different things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he was always hanging out at performance studios early on from the beginning, and he loved the group, and he did a lot of different things.
Well, Dee Dee and Joey lived with him at the loft.
Yeah, they lived
on 2nd Street, which was 10 feet away from CBGB.
Absolutely, yeah.
So Arturo was like a huge influence.
And he also is a great artist too, so that helped a lot, especially with the lighting. His lighting was like very original, the way he lit, using red, white, and blue lights.
So he came into the Ramones orbit as a fan, or as I can do lighting.
Well, initially he was hanging out,
hanging out at CBGB.
In the loft, and he heard the music, came over to performance studios, loved the music, and started hanging out there a lot. And when they started getting jobs, they decided that he could do the lighting for them. And
then he said, "Oh, I can make a T-shirt. Well, why don't we sell T-shirts at shows?" Or
I'll say it again. To get him to go out of town. I mean, in town, CBG was right there, so there's no expense, hotels.
So no T-shirts were being sold at those early CB shows, right?
Not the early years, not the early years, because he was just, to get on the road, he said, I'll print some T-shirts up, that'll pay for my expenses on the road, and he took off from there. And then they realized they were selling a lot of T-shirts, so it really took off.
So the first shirts that were sold on the road somewhere in the Midwest or somewhere out in the road. They weren't sold at the CBGB shows.
Yeah, probably more like the East Coast, Boston and Jersey, and when we went out of town.
And do you remember what price they were sold at the time? What's your best guess? I would say $3.
I would guess 5.
I mean,
3 to
I
5.
think the CD was like $5 to get in at that time.
Right.
So, you know, what are you going to sell a T-shirt for?
Uh-huh.
It was at that time. It was, you know, some money, but
Right. And do you ever remember like the quantity of T-shirts they would sell at shows?
humongous.
It was humongous.
And then later on, the bigger they got,
But how about early on? Do you know how many T-shirts were sold? Okay, everybody, this is our guest, Monte A. Melnick, and he's wearing that.
that's the second.
That's the second shirt.
Yes, Frank Liner.
Right, Mark. Another question. I see. So I captured some early pictures of them in the early '80s. I think it's around Pleasant Dreams or so. They're not wearing character shirts. They're wearing striped shirts. Was this? Did they say, okay, let's get out of these picture T-shirts, or was it just something they just?
They just did. They didn't have meetings about.
So they didn't have meetings about their
wardrobe meetings.
costume.
No, they didn't have costume wardrobe.
Because, you know, if you hold up the first album cover, can you hold this up? If you look very carefully, only one Ramone is wearing a motorcycle jacket, leather jacket. Oh, it's only Johnny. The all other three are wearing different kind of jackets, and obviously the motorcycle jacket came in. So they never really made a conscious decision. It was almost like this is the way it should be. They all kind of just.
Yeah, that's what they were wearing. They said, we're not going to buy expensive clothes.
Okay.
We can't afford.
All right.
Let's just wear what we wear outside.
Oh, okay. All right.
Street look.
It's
And
the
it's kind of like a gang.
like the thugs.
Everybody was afraid of them.
Okay. Now we're going to get into some of the artwork and design of our other special guest here, John Holstrom. And John Holstrom is the founder of Punk Magazine. He also has his own book here. I don't know where it is. Is your own book there? Can you show it up? If anybody, it's here somewhere. We'll find it.
Oh, somebody took it. They locked it somewhere.
They stole it.
They stole it already. I think it's down over there somewhere. And your involvement started with the Ramones and design-wise, which album or a T-shirt?
They actually used, thank you. They actually used a photo comic we did, a Blitzkrieg Bop. The photos were by Danny Fields, and I just put word balloons with the lyrics in it in the 3rd issue of Punk. And they asked me if they could use that for the first single cover in England. So in a way, I did the first record cover for the Ramones.
That was the single cover.
Single cover, Blitzkrieg Bop.
So that the single.
Havana Affair.
Oh wow! And that was a cartoon, or it's
No, it's just fun. I did the lettering.
Oh, okay.
Like
All right.
I actually did the lettering for the logo. They took that from the magazine as well. They didn't have a budget. They were like, John, we're stuck. We need a record cover. Can we use it? We can't pay you anything.
Okay.
I was thrilled to do a record cover for the Ramones, of course.
And that led into Rocket to Russia, correct?
Oh, Road to Ruin.
Well,
Or Road to Russia? Oh, Rocket
to Russia was first.
to Russia was first.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know,
And there's a great inside design. This is his famous design here.
and
Now, do you remember?
this actually first, Johnny asked me to do some drawings for the inside cover. He wanted every song illustrated. And my first idea was to have Punk Magazine style, a combination of drawings by different people, photos that were marked up and graffitied on. But instead, when I showed him all the sketches, Johnny said, I want you to do all of them yourself. And can you have them to me in 2 days?
So all these were done in 2 days.
So 2 or 3 days, yeah. So that's like 3 or 4 drawings a day.
Okay. Now, in relation, these were never decided that these designs were meant for T-shirts.
No.
That was just for the inside album. That was just for the sleeve cover, correct?
Yeah, and when it came out nice, he said, I'd like you to do the back cover. He described everything you wanted on the back cover.
Right.
And can you have it to us by tomorrow?
So, and when do you remember how much you got paid for that?
Yes, $700. And that's how I got my apartment.
Oh, these designs start to make it onto T-shirts right away after the album or before?
The T-shirt you're wearing was the first time that my drawings were used on a Ramones T-shirt.
Now,
And Arturo showed that T-shirt to me right after he made it and invited me up to the loft and gave me a copy. It was very nice of him. And I think he did a great job of turning the map into a globe and really turning it into a T-shirt design. Because this record cover It's been used as a T-shirt design, but I don't think it's that wearable. I think he did a great job. Arturo did a great job with that.
No, this is a great design. And
The first artwork on the T-shirt was the Punk T-shirt.
oh, well, yeah, we had, okay.
And at first we didn't have a T-shirt. I just drew a skeleton, a cartoon drawing of a skeleton wearing a Punk T-shirt.
Right.
And we started getting orders for T-shirts. So this young 16-year-old girl from uptown, Elin Wilder, just took it on herself. I walk into the punk dump one day, and there's T-shirts all over the place.
And this was your
So
punk T-shirt.
We had a T-shirt. And
Did the T-shirt sales go crazy after like somebody like Debbie Harry wearing the T-shirt? Or
nothing sold.
so they never became a big revenue source for Punk
Magazine.
Magazine.
About punk rock in 1976.
But the Ramones started to rely very heavily on the T-shirt for revenue at that time.
Oh, yeah, and then all these images from the album here, they decided to do different T-shirts from the different images.
I didn't see my drawings used on Ramones T-shirts outside of the back cover until the late 80s when I went to a
I don't really,
event.
when you see well, can you get the yellow and black one with the black ringer?
Tour pass.
Okay. Now this is Road to Ruin. Do you see the Road to Ruin there?
I think they were bootleg before the Ramones used them, because I'm sure you know about how many times stuff was bootlegged back then. I remember when the Ramones records were bootlegged in Panama.
Oh, I have a punk.
Joey told me about that.
I have a punk magazine.
They were not happy.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, so, okay.
They weren't selling them any records, and then Panama flooded the market internationally with bootlegs.
Oh, my gosh.
But
now,
in places like South America, you couldn't buy an American record.
No, it was probably very expensive, too.
Yeah.
And so after Rocket to Russia, they hired you, not as the original designer of the Road to Ruin, but as a person who corrected it, correct? Or
Yeah, they had a fan sketch.
well, they're seeing the T-shirt now. That's okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had a fan sketch by this guy, Gus McDonald. He saw them in Scotland in this drawing. But, Tommy's playing drums, and they have like a lobster claw. Everybody's seen this by now.
Yeah,
lobster claw and the snake. He had a really nice drawing style, but you didn't know how to contact somebody in Scotland back then. You didn't have the internet. So
Now,
they needed it in a hurry. They asked me who should do it, and we suggested Wally Wood. He was one of the great comic book illustrators of all time.
Right.
He was in poor health. So he had his assistant try to do it, but his assistant couldn't come up with anything.
another, how much?
Oh, I got paid $1,000.
And were T-shirts discussed
Right.
about like, hey, you can pay me for X amount of T-shirts, or you had the rights to T-shirts, or was it you're getting more sophisticated about? Because T-shirts started to become a little more important then, correct?
Well, in this case, this is definitely work for hire. It's not my drawing. It's
Oh,
got
so
the
you're
problems.
you're not the original designer. Okay.
Right. And it's
But-
tricky because even if I own the drawing, I can't capitalize it commercially unless I pay the Ramones or leave their name off. So it's kind of
But having your work,
collaboration.
but having your work now on a cover, not just an inside, I mean, it must be a great thing to see it around and brought your stature up along with the Ramones and your relationship to them.
It was a double-edged sword because they thought this was going to be their big commercial success. And when it didn't sell, I think they blamed the artwork. It can't be the music. It can't be the artwork. That's why it didn't sell better.
No,
I think that, but they brought "Don't Come Close," which was like their country song, out as the first single. And I think, unfortunately, the hardcore fans didn't like it because it was country, and country people didn't like it because it's the Ramones.
But when you think of their artwork and the design, obviously the first thing you think of is the logo. I mean, that's the one that sticks in your mind.
That's the biggest seller. I mean,
That's the biggest seller. And the second is John's work. I would say so. And
all the different images from that album.
now we have, show the white ones with the cartoons. Now, people, when you see these shirts, these shirts, even though these designs are from the 1970s, these shirts are not from the 1970s. These shirts are basically from about the mid to late 80s. They even made it into the 90s. I just know it from the T-shirt. That design is from 1970, whatever, 77?
That's from the
Rocket to
No, Rocket to Russia.
Russia.
77. these shirts are not from 1977.
Well,
You see the
why-
shirt in there, John?
Well, the one you're wearing could
No,
be
this
from
could be,
77.
right. But
But
when
all the others would be from the
all
80s.
the other ones, the Ramones took the designs and what did they do? They talked to you, or they wanted you to
Nobody
read
talked
to
to
them?
Oh, Arturo liked all the cartoons from that. There's so many great cartoons from that
Yeah.
album that there was enough for tons.
Yeah, show
Arturo
Sheena.
liked
There's a black one with a
Well, I
woman.
mean, he put them on the shirt to sell them.
And these are all-
He told you he didn't like them?
He told me many times he disliked my work. He
Really?
too cartoon.
So he
Oh,
did
yeah.
not like that shirt showing right now, Sheena?
He's used them plenty.
Huh?
It's funny. He just kept on using all the images over and over.
Well, I think they were free, and you know the Ramones related, and let's make money.
He never told me that. It's strange.
Oh, I was at more than one event that we shared where he would go up on stage and openly say, you know, never liked what John did. But I think, looking back, I think they kind of blamed Arturo for Leave Home. They didn't like this record cover. And I don't
Arturo
think,
had nothing to do with that.
I think he might have suggested the photographer or something. And I mean, why would they leave Arturo off the creation of the third album? I think that was a bit of a diss by Johnny towards Arturo to kind of put Arturo in his place. Because you know how Johnny was with people. He would love to, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Arturo had a very big say in the first two album cover designs.
The first one, which is my favorite,
Obviously, yeah.
because
But that's
is
your
all
work.
Arturo. It's
Yeah,
all
but-
Arturo.
Yeah, but that photo is you. That was done for your magazine, correct?
Where's the other sleeve?
Well, they had hired a different
Yeah,
photographer.
there's Arturo's hand on the belt buckle.
Right. And then obviously the belt buckle turned into the logo, but that photo was was
Yeah,
meant
but
for
that
Punk
was,
Magazine.
again, very
And
last
back,
minute.
The
Right.
belt buckle.
They hired a professional photographer to do a kind of Meet the Beatles treatment. It came out horrible, and they were scrambling. They were calling all over town. Does anybody have a good photograph of the Ramones?
But yeah, that's
And-
one of the best album covers I think
You
in
can see
history.
the,
Okay, about night. Okay,
actually
okay.
here we have them in front of the original Ramones banner
Right.
that Arturo was talking about.
Oh, that was the simple logo.
Block.
That was before the eagle or
Yeah,
anything.
that's the first one with the shirt.
Right.
With just the letters.
And it was my idea to shoot them for the magazine in front of their banner and in the loft. And then it was actually Arturo who suggested that we move the band down to the playground, which is now a community garden.
In front of the brick wall.
Yeah, so you're all very much involved. Now, I guess about 1980 something, you got a new drummer.
Well,
His
Marky
name-
came in with his first.
Well, Marky came in, and then about I don't know what year was it that Richie came in.
I have to look this up.
Anyway, it was like
82, 83.
84, yeah. 80,
It's, 83.
83. Okay. Now he has his name on there, and their name would go on there. Now, do you know how the money for the T-shirt sales were split, or they just went right into the band pot, or
Basically, Johnny and Arturo would divide up the money.
between themselves?
Yeah. And then give everybody shares and stuff like that.
So to
And
the
not-
members of the band.
Yeah, but.
So not to
eventually-
you or anybody else, just the members of the
I
band.
wish I could.
So when Marky came, so everybody got equal shares?
No, not equal shares.
All right,
Because
let's hear this.
with Tommy, he left the group before all this big money in the T-shirts was happening. So Johnny and Joey formed the corporation, and Dee Dee was involved. And so actually three of them split it up equally. And then when Dee Dee left, it was Johnny and Joey. But Marky came in, he wasn't considered a full share. He
So-
was pissed off at that.
so
So was
he ca-
Richie. That's why Richie split from the band initially.
All right, this is what I want to explain. So Richie, who was a drummer in the mid 1980s, he was getting, let's say, like 10% of the sales or something.
I don't know the percentage, but wasn't it?
It was very
Yeah,
small or nothing.
He was not happy.
But was it always an upward trajectory for the band as far as sales of T-shirts? Like
Yeah,
every show was getting better, or it was basically the size of the venue, correct?
Because the later years, the bigger venues, the more people, the more shirts they can sell.
Right, but you
Merchandising, basically. It was other things besides shirts. tour programs,
Right.
photographs I think they had there.
Well, Monty, why don't you tell us, like, there was a split, like,
Do you know the
they kind
percentages?
of plateaued in America as far as crowds sometime in the 80s.
Right, yeah.
But then they kept getting bigger in markets like Europe and South America.
Yeah,
So
South America
wouldn't that be a
specifically.
very, could you describe the kind of like how that?
And also, how did the T-shirt sales work over to Europe? Obviously, they didn't print. Arturo's not printing them in a loft,
No, he'd hire a company over there.
so he would hire a company over there, and he would sell
Initially,
them.
the early years when we went, he'd bring stuff over with him.
Monty's now showing a lot of great pictures and also great stories too. And the pictures are really fascinating. But the other day he showed a picture from Japan. I didn't know this, but the Ramones toured Japan in 1980, and right over here you see a shirt that has some Japanese writing on it. And this is a shirt that they obviously they had for Japan, but this is an American shirt.
It's got the Japanese feel with the, the sun there.
Right. Oh, that's the Japanese sun. Okay. And then it has the you see it has some Japanese lettering.
Yeah, we played Japan about 6 different times. We went to Japan.
Right, but I didn't know you went so early in 1980.
Yeah. It was
Wow.
great.
And were the T-shirt sales there great too?
Yeah, it was good there. He had a company there. Well, initially in the early years, he brought a bunch of shirts with him. But everywhere overseas, he'd had companies, different companies.
Oh, okay.
Later
Oh, no,
years.
he brought a big thing of T-shirts. Didn't Customs say, hey, what the heck is this?
No, because we could get.
Oh, you had so much equipment,
Yeah, the
right?
equipment came in with the equipment.
Oh, it came in with the equipment. Okay, okay. All right. And then when you would go on tour, obviously there was a lot of, all sales there were made with cash. Now, that's a dangerous thing, so much cash in hand.
Well, that's what one of the things that Richie was pissed off about. He see in Europe they had these stacks of money. I said, oh, these guys got that bags full of money, and he wasn't making as much. He got really pissed off at that.
Oh, so they actually had like little locked briefcases with money in it? Or?
Arturo carried most of it around.
Oh, okay.
If he could trade it in for like.
A little scary to walk around with so much cash.
Yes, well, I had to take cash around with me too when I was on the road.
Oh, right.
But for me, it was basically half the money was sent in. The booking agent would make sure the venue would send in half the money.
Richie left, which about 1988, before Brain Drain, right? Something around there?
He was from 83 to 87.
83 to 87. Okay. So Marky comes in.
He came back.
He came back, excuse me.
Initially, Marky was in 1978 to 83.
Right.
He left the band. They kicked him out because he had a big problem.
Right.
Straightened himself out from 87 to the end.
Right.
And I should note, like, Gary Kerfer became the manager, replacing Danny.
Danny and Linda.
What year? 79?
Yeah. Somebody else.
Now, did the management get any of the money from T-shirts?
No, that's why.
Was there any negotiations or people getting angry or?
Yes, Gary Kerfus got very, very angry about that.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
All right.
Danny was in 75 to 79. Yeah, Danny got done. So Danny didn't care. Danny was fine. Yeah. Initially, Danny laid out some of his money when he just was the manager. They said, you can be our manager. The Ramones said, be our manager. Give us some money for drums and some equipment. So he laid out some money initially. That's how he became the manager.
So Gary Kerfish became the manager in 79?
Yeah.
No, yeah, 79. Yeah.
So in 79, when he came in and he says, well, we want you to manage us. He says, okay, I'm getting half the T-shirt money.
No, they said, no.
But
No.
they put their foot down because.
He was upset. And so the later albums, he said, okay, you don't give me any T-shirts merchandising money. I'm going to start picking the album covers. That's where they get the screwy album covers.
No.
Really? It was over T-shirt money.
Yeah.
Oh,
He said, I'm
whoa.
going to pick the albums. And a couple of them, like the last one was Kastavi. I think he bought the painting or something. And, so make some money.
Well, the
off of it.
Brain Drain album, how did that come about?
Yeah,
That's my
Gary
least
said,
favorite.
You're not giving me money. I'm going to start picking the albums down. They said, okay, we're keeping the money. They realized the money was.
Oh, so
big money.
the deal was you can keep the T-shirt money. I get to pick the album covers.
Yeah, he did all the.
How could he get that power?
Because they didn't want to give him the T-shirt money.
Yeah, but
They had a
it
bargain.
doesn't make any sense. Didn't they have like a contract
with,
with
I'm not sure the
like
contract.
Richie and Gary and everybody
Now,
outlining?
No, not that.
the colorful one.
Wow, it's the craziest thing I ever heard.
Okay, when you got to South America, now there was pandemonium when you see on the video, but were the T-shirt sales crazy, or was it like bootleggers were taking
it?
off?
Was crazy down there. They were huge down there.
Right, and this is something that people don't really know too about, but the Ramones were like the Beatles in South America.
Yes, it was amazing. It was
In what, Brazil, Argentina,
the biggest, and Brazil,
Chile,
and Uruguay.
And Uruguay too.
One
Wow.
of my favorite cities, Montevideo.
Monte, right? So the T-shirt sales were just as good down there too.
Well, yeah, they were playing big venues, 5,000, and then we played this River Plate Stadium, 30, 40,000 people. They're fanatics down there, fanatics.
Right.
Unbelievable. Just great. That's where they really got a taste of being a huge group, mega group was down there.
Oh yeah.
Johnny didn't like it because he couldn't go out, do anything. I could walk around because they didn't bother me, but the Ramones couldn't get out of the hotel. In fact, we got kicked out of a couple of hotels because the fans were like out there chanting and breaking windows and singing all night, and
Wow.
and they'd follow them. We couldn't go out, and when we got in the airport, we couldn't go out the front of the airport. We had to go out the back, like the president of Argentina or something, or Michael Jackson. We went out the back of the airport. Going to the airport was crazy. I think because they started playing down there really early before a lot of other bands played down there. And
How early?
I'm not sure if early.
80s?
Yeah, early.
Now, obviously, when you got bigger, the bootleg shirts started to come into play. You don't see much from the 70s or 80s, but in the 90s, you start to notice in vintage shirts, old shirts. These are two bootleg shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it's part of the collecting world.
Them now.
Okay, guilty.
I'm taking them back.
You got to get your cut. Don't forget to give the estate the cut. But when you see bootlegs out on the street for the first time, or you see, do you remember when you first saw them, or what was the reaction of the band to bootlegs? Because today, a lot of times bootlegs in the T-shirt world are coveted for their kind of like DIY ethic to the shirt. They're really done poorly. Believe it or not, there are collectors of bootleg shirts because it's true. It's true. You can see over here the wrap. A lot of these are all bootlegs. The people love bootlegs for some reason, and the older bootlegs. People don't like a new bootleg that copies something that's old, but an old bootleg from the period of time, let's say the 90s or the 80s or 70s, is coveted. But when the band saw bootlegs, what was their reaction to it?
They liked it.
And did they send out a bunch of guys with baseball bats?
There, and he saw what was going on. He'd say to the promoter of the venue, the club owner, look, these guys are outside, and usually they send out some security, chase them away.
And they did
try to take some of it away, but it was difficult. Basically, you don't want to get into fights with people. So
right.
Initially, Arturo would look after that.
And when did you really start to see that? As the band got bigger? Later. So in the 90s, basically, in the 90s. And I got obviously, then they got a new bass player, and just around that period of time, do you have the Pet Sematary shirt? And here's one of my favorite shirts that I've ever gotten. I mean, I have the early shirts, but this shirt is just amazing, and it's the most amazing movie and music T-shirt together. And it's from the Pet Sematary. I think it was made for the single. Do you know anything about this shirt?
Nothing about the shirt.
No, I got it from one of their producers had an auction.
But Stephen King was a big Ramones fan.
Right.
It's a story where he wanted the Ramones to play in Maine, so he hired a municipal auditorium and put a Cheap Trick over the show, and we played with them.
So he had his own
But
show.
he invited us back to his house.
Uh-huh.
Cheap Trick. He got pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a huge Ramones fan.
Was Pet Sematary their biggest chart hit?
I'm not sure exactly. I think something from all
Something to
End of the
Believe in?
Century was the biggest selling album, I think.
But single wise?
I'm not sure on the sales.
I thought I read that somewhere.
So we were back in his house, and he said that's how he wrote a lot of his books, listening to the Ramones.
Oh, really? Oh, so well, I guess it fit into the Johnny's horror movie fascination.
If you look at the video for
Pet Sematary, sure.
Did you come to the video for that?
No.
It's up in the cemetery, Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. We did it up there.
Oh, okay.
But if you look when they're being lowered into the grave,
Yes.
there's fake tombstones in the back.
Right.
One of them is Melnick.
Oh, really? Oh,
There. And here's the weird thing about it is Joey's buried in
New Jersey.
Rutherford, New Jersey. So you pull up to the road, the first stone, 3 rows back is Joey. The first stone you see is there's a Melnick stone there.
Oh, my
Which
Lord.
freaks me out every time I go to visit.
Oh, my gosh.
So you look at the Melnick stone, 3 rows back is Joey.
Oh, well.
So I'm in the pet cemetery and I'm in the other.
Oh, my Lord. So that's a fascinating story. I mean, who knew that this T-shirt, I've never seen it before. I got it from Daniel Ray. I won it in the auction where, well, it wasn't the guitar auction. It was later on. But I've never seen this shirt before. You've never seen it before, right?
I think I've seen it. Well, maybe not. I don't know. It's hard to say.
And it's the most amazing shirt. For a movie and a music together, I mean, I think it's just phenomenal. I was so happy I could get to put it in this collection. So Daniel Ray, all your shirts are in a safe place. Don't worry.
And Daniel just sold the guitar, Johnny's guitar.
Yes.
That's almost $1 million.
He made a very good investment. And who thought that T-shirts? Now, this is the question I've always asked. I mean, you, me, and we're all basically close age. I mean, when you see the price of T-shirts skyrocket, or you saw the guitar, you saw Johnny's guitar go up to, you know, I mean, I think it's well-deserved, in my opinion. I mean, the guitar is very important. It showed the importance of the Ramones. But when you see the price of T-shirts, when we thought of them as just like, oh, that now it's time to clean clean the cabinets with the T-shirt. Right, you clean the car with the T-shirt. Your mother threw them all out. I've gotten a lot of stories. Oh, my mother threw out all my shirts. And when did you find out about T-shirts being something more than just something you sold at the show to make money? When did it hit you, or just now that you walked in this room and saw these shirts and like, what the heck?
Well, I gotta say, Richard, you have an amazing place in Metropolis.
Well, listen,
I'm surrounded. I mean, these are all your collection.
This is all my collection. Well,
so many Ramones shirts here.
Oh, probably about 200. But
unbelievable. But other T-shirts come here to Metropolis, great place.
yeah, hey, also dig up that Dee Dee Ramone in the spotlight. I have a T-shirt from his
That's a
from the solo album,
The rap.
yeah.
the rap album.
Dee Dee King.
Obviously, we read about the famous story where Dee Dee shows up at the airport wearing a tracksuit and gold chains, right?
Yeah, we were going to DC and taking the shuttle down there. This is when we figured let him do a rap album, get it out of his system.
Now, here's this T-shirt. This is Dee Dee Ramone, who was the main songwriter, or one of the main songwriters, and the bass player. And he had a rap fascination in the late 80s,
Standing in
correct?
the spotlight.
It's turned around and say standing in the spotlight. There it is. There it is.
So he put the album out, and then he decided that we were going to play DC on the shuttle, and he shows up with a tracksuit and gold chains. And
Right.
flipped out. He said, "What are you doing? This is the Ramones. You can't come with this outfit on."
Right.
You know? So, well,
Now,
threw them out
did like, let's, for an instance, say if Dee Dee showed up ready for the stage and he's wearing a Run DMC T-shirt,
No, that never.
that would never, but without, would they allow that on stage?
No,
They would not allow it.
No, Johnny's very, you know, he had his one things certain way, you
Right.
know, look a certain way. They come out, they come out back and forth on the stage. They take off their jackets at a certain time.
So he was kind of checking things out in a way.
Well,
Wouldn't
Johnny
he?
was like the general.
Right, he was right. And later on, he wore a lot of horror shirts, but early on, he used to wear a lot of military shirts. Can you get that Kill a Commie from Mommy?
I think when they first went out, they were wearing a lot of cartoon stuff.
Well, yeah, he used to have like Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse.
A lot of cartoon stuff they started first.
Now, it was,
Captain America.
Yeah, later on, Johnny got into collecting posters, especially horror movie posters.
Yeah.
He was-
so now when he would put, now I remember very vividly, and I was actually thrilled because my father was a Marine. He used to wear the Marine Corps shirt. Huh?
I love that shirt.
Yeah.
You know, Tom grew up in Hungary.
Tom, yes, he was
came up in
anti-communist,
57,
right?
So he's totally anti-communist.
And Dee Dee father was in the military.
Yeah, and he grew up in Germany, and he was, you know, he didn't like commies
But-
either.
But like honestly, as a fan, like as a young 17-year-old, and I saw John on stage wearing those Keds that you know, my mother used to wear, another thing we'll go into later, but wearing a shirt that said the U.S. Marine Corps for a rock and roll band, which to me was, I loved it. You know, I grew up, my father, John, your father was a veteran. Your father was a veteran too, right?
Both my parents.
All our parents were veterans. And, you know, the music then was all these, listen, I'm not to degrade anything. It was hippie music, right? Thank you. But here he comes wearing a U.S. Marine Corps T-shirt, playing phenomenal rock and roll.
With the logo.
With the logo, the U.S. Marine Corps there. And it's like, listen, I love the Marine Corps. I love the, you know, I'm not against the military, but it was a great thing for me. Now, was the band very much aware of that? Like this kind of like this military, not militaristic, but hey, we're.
Well, you know, CJ was in the Marines.
Yes. Well, that's why one of the reasons why they chose him, right?
Well, Hendrix was in the service.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like rock and roll was divorced from the military.
Yeah, but he didn't say, oh, look, I'm a paratrooper. Here's this guy wearing a U.S. Marine Corps T-shirt.
His last single was called Isabella. And
Yeah.
it was about a serviceman who misses.
Oh, okay. But for a fan, it was great to see. You know, you watch what your favorite artists wear on stage. I mean, listen, when I saw John and Joey, and I don't know if Dee Dee was wearing those Keds white sneakers, I went out and got them. I mean, it was very much affected. So the T-shirts. So this band, it came out like it wasn't like hippie T-shirts. It was like, hey, look, comic, you know.
It was definitely a punk rock statement.
Right.
And I picked up on that.
Oh, I loved it.
Magazine.
This
was a new culture.
Thank you.
Know, it was divorced from the mainstream.
Yes.
And it was separating itself from the hippie culture.
Yes.
That had taken over the mainstream.
And the clothing, especially wearing the straight leg jeans, was just drastic.
Yeah. Well, that's, you know, the logo is a very American thing.
Right.
Great Seal of the United States, Presidential Seal.
Right.
America, you know.
Yes. It really kind of changed things a lot.
I would credit Alice Cooper as being the first American rock and roll band.
Really?
Who kind of embraced the flag and all that stuff. But you also had a band like Grand Funk.
No,
We're an American band, you know, we come to party in town, you know. There was always kind of a pro-American spirit within rock and roll back then.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yeah, so it was a great thing. I always loved it, and he always used to wear these shirts. And later on, he used to wear the Yoo-Hoo shirt, and he used to wear the
and some of the songs like Commando.
Right.
What's the fourth rule? Don't talk to commies. Arturo also wanted to keep an American feel.
He always
So his lighting was very red, white, and blue. A lot of it. You know?
Right. So when they went into the 1990s, could you grab that Acid Eater shirt?
Fair is another one they talk about.
Those two Acid Eater shirts over there.
but it was with a sense of humor.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
That was the thing.
That's the thing.
They were not seriously.
People didn't realize their songs were saying something with a humorous thing.
Right.
And initially, when they came out, people said, "Oh, these guys are troublemakers, beat on the racks, kill the kids, or snip glue, it's bad." And they were just talking about angst, teenage angst and stuff, and you know.
Well, the sniffing glue was
way,
a teenage thing, yeah.
That was front page news in Scotland.
Oh, really?
That they brought out a song about sniffing glue. It was the first big punk rock scandal before the Sex Pistols.
Well, okay. So the 90s come out and they put out an album called Acid Eaters. Now, I mean, a lot of people have opinions about the album, but when you show the artwork, here's Acid Eaters. Now, they were supposed to be the anti-hippie band. Now, this is sort of like a psychedelic artwork. Here, show that one. Not that one, the other one. That one, correct. Now, they put out that artwork there, which is like, hey, look, I'm kind of like part of the hippie culture. Was that controversial, or are they just like, what the heck? This is at the end of their career.
More like, what the heck? Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting artwork there.
Well, it's a great.
Listening back in my old days, I was, you know, acid, and I was in Woodstock. I went to Woodstock.
Was that a Kurt first record
I think
cover?
he had something to do with it.
Oh, okay. So now we're getting into.
And then the songs on there too. If you look, well, they picked the songs, but there were a lot of songs from back in the early days, you know.
Yeah, it was all covers. It was all covers. But I was just wondering, like, how, like, you know, I guess later on they just went to just whatever design. I mean, I think the design is great, but when you think about the first early designs, and they would really go like acid eaters, you wondered why they changed it. So that was the manager making the decision.
Yeah,
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of influence
Okay, okay.
later on.
And let me see.
You don't
what
have
else.
any Adios Amigo shirts?
Yeah, sure.
That's a Kurt first.
Oh, we have Loco Live. Oh, Adios Amigos. Yeah, we have some over somewhere hiding.
So that's totally Kurt first with Kostabi.
Now that's a bootleg over there. Those we have
You
original.
know, funny
One.
thing that there's a history about the eagle here.
Yeah.
Supposedly, this is a story, but notice the eagle's facing this way towards the olive branch. They say sometimes during war, they switch the eagle facing the arrows.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh.
Did you have something to believe in? Hands across your face?
Oh yes, and now we have. I got it here. Well, this was about. This was from. Do you remember what album this was from?
No, but I'm in that video though.
Oh, you're in the video. This is about the late 1980s, and the Ramones did a parody of all the Save the World videos that all the like Michael Jackson, everybody would get together, and the Ramones made a goofy video and a song. Maybe it came out just as a single. I don't remember.
You know, the world, all that stuff.
Yeah, and this was the very last piece of artwork that John did for the Ramones. Is that correct?
Yes, I drew the hands across your face. For some reason, Johnny really wanted me to do it. Didn't take long because it's pretty simple.
And how much did you get paid for this one?
$50.
Another $50. That's your magic number.
I was surprised they made T-shirts out of it, but I don't think they ever marketed the T-shirts.
Oh, it's not a very well-known T-shirt. I mean, I've never really found that many of them.
The video's hilarious, and it was
Yeah.
very popular.
Wow, yeah.
And it's a big name
Are you
to
in
it.
that?
Wasn't Little Steven in that? That
A lot
was
of
the
people.
first.
Yeah, everybody
A lot of
was.
people, there's a lot of people. Me included. Did you get into that one?
No, I was busy working all this time, Monty. I had an office job.
Oh, come on. Come into a video, for God's sake.
No, we'll have another Instagram live just of you and your work one day, as it's probably going to take about 10 hours at least. Well, we're getting near the end of our show here.
Do you have anything on Rock and Roll High School?
Well, T-shirts wise, not many, because that was early on. And you think about Rock and Roll High School, that came out, what, late 78 or something? So can you just show that shirt up there? And it's very close to, if you look at it, it's very close to the original logo or one of the early shirts. And this is a period of time where you see the logos. And, you know, it's not a very common shirt, but I think my friend Gilbert might have one. He's wearing the Ramones one here, but he also has one. And there's actually some rock and roll. I think the record company who put the album out has like that big cart. Do you know who did that one?
The cartoon.
The cover for Rock and Roll High School?
Did they do Animal House?
I can't remember.
Who did the Animal House? Same cartoonist.
I can't remember right now.
Yeah.
Probably look it up on the, probably Google it.
Okay.
But I understand the artwork was stolen.
Oh,
And the artist tracked down the guy who stole it.
For the Rock and Roll High School?
Yeah.
Really?
well, okay. Oh
That was a
boy.
great movie. Perfect movie.
Well, I think a movie stands the test of time.
I'm
Because it's
a
still-
cameo in the movie.
Yes, you're with the manager
Yeah.
when they come into.
They tell
And
them.
also, do you have your book again? Can I show you your book?
Johnny's in a movie Vincent Gallo directed, right?
Yes,
A
it's based on
science
Vincent
fiction movie.
Yeah, and also everybody go up there and click down, and there's Monte A. Melnick's Instagram will come down, and you can accept it and follow it, because Monty's putting up a lot of great photos and a lot of great stories that we heard today. You know, I remember he spoke about the hall monitors in Rock and Roll High School, and also some of the actors.
Yeah, a bunch of pictures from
And you know,
Jay
it.
Souls, Clint Howard.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Monty's doing a lot of great things on Instagram. So everybody go up there and follow Monty, because he's putting up great pictures. And who knows, maybe he's going to have his own Instagram live show every week, and you're going to invite
You and John.
me and John and
I'm on there, but it's not an active account. I'm working on
yeah,
it.
he's working on. Maybe you'll invite all the roadies. who are left, and we'll talk about stories what happened
Okay.
backstage.
That
But
would be a great.
We did, like, a couple of years ago for the Joey Bash, we had Big Matt and Little Matt, a couple of roadies were on stage.
they might have some interesting stories.
Well, they
So
do.
I'm sure they do. But Monte wrote this book, and John did the cover, and it's on the road with the Ramones, and it's absolutely a fantastic book. It's a good gift book too, and I'm not here to goof because every page is phenomenal photographs. So if you have reading issues like I do, and I don't read things much, I love to look at photos, and these just are amazing photos that come out here. And Monty's sharing a lot of them up on his Instagram, and you can get this on Amazon, bonus edition, because it has some, right, and it has some great stuff. And John also has a great book.
Yeah, I got a book, Best of Punk Magazine, available worldwide
It's
on Amazon.
and it's very much well worth it. And our special guest, Monte A. Melnick, and wearing the second shirt.
Second shirt, yeah.
This is the shirt number 2.
That's probably a CBGB stage.
That's probably the stage of CBGB. So that was about 1978, no, 77. 77, yeah, just about 77. So if you ever run across that shirt, that's an extremely rare one. And this was a shirt over there. Oh, can you show that one with, oh, he's just showing all the shirts over there. We can't go into every shirt. We're at the end of the show, and I'd like to thank our special guest, Monte A. Melnick. And thank you very much. All right, Monte. And Monte has the shirt. And our very special guest here, John. Let's give a big hand for John. And for all the T-shirts and for the Ramones that they're gone, but they left us not only great T-shirts that we can collect, but they left us great music that we can always treasure till the end of our time here. So don't forget, if you want to find out all the great details and learn more about the Ramones, this book from Monte, you go right on Amazon. It's the $30, $40 worldwide, and it's the bonus edition. So don't forget to pick up this book and also John's book, which is a really great book. I mean, really in depth.
And one last thing, I think everybody should stop by the Metropolis Vintage
Oh,
Clothing
and
store.
we're coming live from Metropolis Vintage in Manhattan, in New York City, at Broadway and 11th Street, 803 Broadway, right on 11th Street near Strand Bookstore, right across from Flight Club. And we have some original Ramones shirts up there from the 90s, and we have some copies, and we have some bootlegs. No, just joking. I have some leftover 1, 2, 3, 4. There was a line that they made at one time that I bought a lot left, dead stock. Maybe I'll throw you one.
Arturo's line.
Get one for over there. Is that Arturo's line?
He was 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, I bought the dead stock left over. I have a whole bunch of them. So don't forget to pick up this book. It's a great book. I mean, I'm not here just to BS you. I mean, there's a lot of Ramon stuff, but it's a really good book, and it's from somebody from the inside for 2,200 and something shows, and also John's book. And we thank you very much.
One more thing.
Yeah,
There's
go
a
ahead.
great secret dressing room. At the
Oh.
Metropolis Clothing Store.
I forgot.
All the way in the back.
All the way in the back of Metropolis, there's somebody that became famous for map making. What's the map making person called?
Cartographer.
A cartographer?
Cartographer.
Cartographer. You're now the official cartographer for New York City. There's a great map of Metropolis and our history that John designed for us. It's similar to Rocket to Russia.
The Ramones map for the 40th anniversary.
Right, the 40th anniversary was a great map to have.
Cartographer right here.
That's right there. There is a cartographer right there. So,
Thank you, Richard.
oh, thank you, Monte, for coming here, and thank you, John, and thank you for everybody. And there's John, and there's Monte. Everybody. All right, thank you so much, guys.